Hello, beautiful friends. It's Rachel Archelaus here, and we're kicking off another episode of this Why Do We Limit Love series. And today we're going to talk about gender and gender norms and how your spiritual evolution often will kind of work at or kind of pick apart the idea of gender. Now, there are plenty of people out there who are expressing gender differently, who don't feel like they're on a spiritual journey. But you may notice that as you evolve and come to higher understandings and become more aware of things, that gender plays less of a role in your life. I've talked to a lot of people who start really becoming aware of the fact that they don't feel male or female, that they feel like there's not really a place for them in those two options, or like they feel more masculine even though they're a woman, or they feel more feminine if they're a male. And you can probably think back on your entire life and realize that you really never felt completely satisfied in one of those two categories. I know for me, it's not like I wanted to be the other gender, but I definitely felt like, well, why couldn't I be? Or, when I was in high school, I always joked that I wanted a beard. And it was a joke, but I definitely would have wanted to try it if I could, And I always wore boys' clothing. I just felt more comfortable that way. It was less about showing off curves. It was more about utility, which I loved. There's so many things that during my life that always pointed to the fact that there wasn't really one place you could stick me. And even with the idea of like sexiness, I always felt more sexy dressed in a more masculine way. We think of that with a lesbian culture, but even before I ever had attraction to females, I felt that. So it really didn't have anything to do with my sexual preference. It was just about how I felt in my body in the response to clothing that I had. So I've talked to a lot of people who feel that they're gender fluid, which really just means they feel like there's a scale of gender. It's not just your female or male. We've also talked about sexual fluidity a little bit, where you feel like you're not gay or straight, like there's a continuum that you can fall on. And so gender is really no different. It's about seeing someone as a person or an energetic being, if you will, instead of what the label would be, or what society would categorize them as. And there's a big reason for this, that it would come up on a spiritual journey, because the soul itself, your true essence, has no gender. So it's not like we're souls up in the sky and we're a male or a female and we'll always express that way. No, we are not any kind of gender. We don't have any sexual organs as our energetic selves. And depending on what dimension you are in as your energetic expression or physical expression, you may not even be a defined unit. You may be part of a collective, or you may be an all of that is, basically, where there is no distinction between one person or one group or another. So as you tap into that more, even just on the energetic level, you don't even have to be aware of it, you're going to feel less connected to gender. Now, that often expresses with your sexual preference, though they don't have to be related. Your gender doesn't have to be related to your sexual preference or your born sex. So your sex is if you have, female or male genitalia, or both. And your gender is a construct. It's basically, we say, okay, the person with female genitalia should be like this. The person with male genitalia should be like this. Gender is a construct, and that's why it's falling away right now, because all constructs are destabilizing. And again, as a soul, you don't have a gender. That's just something we have here or on other planet star systems where they've constructed something similar. Sexual preference-wise, gender can have this impact where we're finding ourselves attracted to not just the regular old opposite sex or same sex that we've been attracted to before, you may find yourself opening up to other genders because you're attracted to a soul, a person, an energy, as opposed to caring about what they look like down there or up here. So, that can bring up a lot of issues. I've talked to several women specifically, and a few men actually, where that can be a little bit disarming for them, where they're worried about what's happening to them, if there's something wrong with them. And before you make any assumptions or judgments about that, these are really good people who are not judgmental, but it can be difficult when you view yourself one way your whole life, like, okay, I'm straight or I'm gay, and then all of a sudden your body's telling you something else. Right? There's a physical attraction there or an emotional attraction there, and it's out of place. It can be a lot to get used to. So just try to keep in mind that this can happen. We're opening up. We're really transcending this idea of gender and becoming much more balanced within ourselves. So on any given day, for example, I could want to wear a dress or makeup or play or have fun or do things that are more stereotypically feminine. On other days, I could want to wear, baggy clothes and feel more like a boy or more masculine in my body, do things or relate to people in more of a masculine way. Sometimes I want to be more soft and gentle, like what we would consider the feminine way. I have all sorts of ranges, and so do you. Sometimes you're more aggressive, you're more assertive, or you're just more explosive in a artistic way or whatever way. Sometimes you retreat a little bit more. Sometimes you give, sometimes you receive. All of those can be put in the box of masculine or feminine. But what really, really matters here is that those two things are coming together. We don't need to really categorize that anymore, because I feel it's better to allow yourself to come to a place of balance naturally. Now, if you're drawn to work with the divine feminine, the divine masculine, all of that, that's really beautiful, and you should definitely continue. There is a place for all of that. Any expression that you feel inspired to have is definitely worth it. But it's not something you have to do if it's not calling for you. So I've definitely been on the bandwagon of getting more divine feminine energy here, but whenever I did that, I almost felt like I was shaming myself into trying to be more feminine, because I'm really not. I don't enjoy a lot of things that the feminine would have me enjoy. I like it on occasion. It feels more like play to me, but on an everyday basis, I'm not doing much more than combing my hair. So I didn't want to feel shame about not wanting to play there. I didn't want to feel like I had to in order to go to my next level or to get a bigger business. If you feel called to that, beautiful. If you feel called to be more masculine, beautiful. But don't allow yourself to feel like you have to be a certain way for anybody else. You're naturally rebalancing anyway. Just keep going with self-love and self-care. Notice what you want. That's the biggest thing you can do for yourself. Do I want to wear a dress today? Do I want to just wear sneakers? Do I want to put my makeup on? Is it okay for me to go out of the house looking different than I normally do? Because if you've been suppressing any of these urges, it's going to feel really scary to start embracing them. And that's okay. It's part of the process. It's all good. And feel free to write me a line if you're in that place of fear and you just want someone to acknowledge you. So if you have any questions about this idea of gender slipping away, let me know, and I'll also provide you with some excellent resources on it. There's this one model that I follow named Rain Dove, and she models as both a man and a woman. Her sex is a woman, it's just how she was born, but she actually has some really interesting things to say about gender and how she's treated and how she feels when she's expressing as either one. It's really beautiful, so definitely go check her out. If you just search on YouTube for Rain Dove interviews, you'll find a ton, and they're very fascinating. There's also a huge movement about gender going on right now, not necessarily in the spiritual community, just from regular everyday people who express gender a little differently than the norm. So go check it out. A lot of it has to do with the fact that gender isn't real, which is a pretty cool concept if you're not used to thinking that way. Alright, well this video is long enough already. If you haven't watched the others in the series, definitely go back and check them out. And let me know if you have any other topics that you want me to cover in this Why Do We Limit Love series. Alright everybody, lots of love. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to intuitive art and you've never done it with me, go to intuitiveartacademy.com for your free class. You'll learn how to have a conversation with your higher self in 3 easy steps. That's intuitiveartacademy.com. And if you're already a pro or you've done the free class and you want to learn more about creating abundance from your purpose, go to workyourpurpose.com and you'll watch a free video series all about what it takes to create a purposeful income from doing what you love. All right, enjoy, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.